George Kavassilas is an extraterrestrial contactee, writer, and life coach. His contact experiences began as an infant, and he has had many subsequent experiences with extraterrestrials, both positive and negative. In 2003, he had a remarkable experience with his galactic family. He was taken to the Pentagon, where he was subjected to torture. He met with former President George Bush Sr., and he has ever since been helping individuals integrate with their fractal aspect of the universe and connecting with their universe heart essence.
You are listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla, your source for the uncensored truth regarding the human, extraterrestrial, global, and political agenda. Click the like button and subscribe to this channel. And now, here's Dr. Michael Salla.
Well, welcome back, George, to Exopolitics Today.
Hi, Michael. It's great to be back. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, well, I really enjoyed our last interview when we just touched on the many experiences that you've had. Now, I know you shared in our kind of pre-interview chat something about the Freemason connection and the ET contact phenomenon. So why don't you share with us what you know of the Freemason connection to this whole extraterrestrial contact phenomenon?
Yeah, when it comes to any secret society on our planet and in our world, there's always an element of ritual involved and practice, and there is either an interdimensional or extraterrestrial overlord that is behind each and every secret society or occult on our planet. And so when we're looking at an organization like the Freemasons, it's about really going back to who is the questions that need to be asked whenever you approach any group or any organization that is espousing spiritual knowledge. Then the question that needs to be asked is, who is actually the entity that is behind it? And most will say, oh, it's God, the creator, et cetera, et cetera. Interestingly, when you go deeper into it and you look much deeper into these organizations, you begin to see that multidimensional structure and the actual overlords that are in play behind it. And the same goes for the Freemasons. So with the Freemasons, when you enter into it, and I was not a member of the Freemasons, I've actually worked really, really hard to emancipate and liberate my bloodline, because I have two beautiful sons, and I wanted to make sure that what was handed down to me from my father and that ownership of the bloodline was not going to be handed down to my boys. And actually had that very tough conversation with my father 6 weeks prior to him passing. So it was a very big period of time in my life, and very deep and very intense, because these energies take ownership of the bloodline, and for a minimum of 7 generations. So it depends on what your ancestors did in what cave, what ritual, what group, what organization. It's really quite fascinating when it comes to all of that. So as I went deeper into looking into the whole Freemason thing, when you do, I ended up going for a visit to the lodge in Adelaide, South Australia. And when I went into the room, the gentleman there, because I had my father's ring with me at the time, they gave me the full tour. It was really quite fantastic to get into the private secret ceremonial rooms and what have you, and feel the energy in there and see it for myself. And they get you to get down on your knees, and it doesn't matter what religion you're from. The first thing they'll get you to do is submit and be subservient to the deity that they worship. They said, we don't care what religion you're from, you'll get on your knees before God, what they call their God. So it's really quite fascinating, and they'll have different names from different chapters, but it's all the same entity really at the end of the day. And just when you look at different religious organizations on our planet, a lot of them are different names. If you look at Yahweh, or you look at Jehovah, or you look at Enlil, or etc., or God from the Christian Bible. It's all the same entity at the end of the day. And I've had first-hand direct experience of this in 2003, when I actually got to see the energy pouring off the Earth. When I had that, we'll probably go into it in a little while, about my galactic family picking me up, and I really got to see it all in great detail. What's actually happening in the way of worship, in the way of where does that energy, the intention of worship, where we steer it, because when we steer our intention, because we're full universal fractals, our intention is the most powerful out of all planetary incarnational avatar species anywhere in the cosmos. Earth humans have the most powerful intention. And that's why the fight, the war for control over the human race is so fierce by the gods, because when we worship them, they get fed a energy that they can't get from anywhere else, and they get empowered more from us than any other species in the cosmos. And so when it comes to this whole Freemason organization, it started out as a good idea. People working with the elements, people working with the mineral realm in conscious relationship with it, being able to, move, levitate rocks, and that's how the pyramids were built. It was that ancient technique of conscious relationship with the mineral realm, the ability to get the atoms to spin at a particular rate, which then alters the molecular vibration, which then levitates the rock. So we did it through conscious relationship, and I'm saying we because I remember doing it because I was there back then at the time, and that's how we built the pyramids, because they're also malleable. When you're working with the mineral realm in this way, you can actually get the mineral realm to divide itself into whatever size block you need as well. It's reality management and it's conscious relationship.
Well, I know the Freemasons use a lot of sacred geometry, and they worship the great architect. Yeah, and that they apparently they can be dated back to the construction of the Temple of Solomon, and maybe you even want to go further back to the pyramids. I don't know if they go back as far as that, but I know researchers date them back to the Temple of Solomon and the knowledge of sacred geometry, which uplifts consciousness and so forth. So yeah, as you said, they began in a very positive sense, but then at some point they get subverted. And as far as I know, and maybe you can elaborate on this, that's pretty much the pattern with every secret society, that they start off often very positive with enlightened individuals, whether we're talking about the Rosicrucians, Freemasons, Knights Templars, and then at some point they get infiltrated and subverted by these dark actors.
Yeah, they do, because of the epoch that we're in. So whenever something beautiful and benevolent is spawned in this reality from the good place, then this energy that has been allowed to come here, just want to reiterate that, to be part of the setup. Now I'm talking from a creational standpoint. The structure of this realm for this epoch and the theme and what it was originally designed to achieve, So these energies are here because they're allowed to be here, and I call them the forces of limitation. And that's kind of like an easier descriptive title for them for me. And these forces of limitation have this ability to and have permission to actually create programs that subdue us, that subjugate us, that limit us, and it's all part of the grand design of this realm and this epoch for this realm. So these organizations, whatever you choose to create, you will always have that onslaught. And both you and I, Michael, we've experienced that in our lifetime, where here we are, we're looking to create something that's going to help expand human conscious awareness and genuinely enlighten people and empower people from within. That you and I and others who do this type of work, we've all been on the receiving end of great challenges from the forces of limitation. And for some of us more than others, it depends on the soul journey, on how we've constructed our avatar on an individual basis as to what we experience and to what degree we experience it. Yeah, but yeah, sorry, go on.
Well, now I was just going to kind of like shift a little bit because I know you've done some work with Australian Aborigines and that they have a kind of knowledge of their connection to the star families. So, yeah, can you maybe give us a kind of quick summary on what you know of the Aboriginal experience with ET contact? Because I know people often associate Indigenous peoples with the Pleiadians. So is that your experience?
Yeah. You see, the majority of the Australian Aborigine nations, because there's somewhere in the vicinity in the reality of it, not what it is today, they've amalgamated lots. But, you know, you're looking at about 580 nations on our landmass originally. And then over colonial rule, there's been a lot of smaller nations have been grouped together. And a clear example of that is what they call now the Bundjalung, you know, amalgamation of mobs of nations and tribes. So there's no actual Bundjalung mob. It's an amalgamation of many. So we are dealing with the most ancient peoples. So if I was to go full into this, Michael, permission to really share the star law in relation to the Australian Aborigines, is that okay? Sure. The Cliff Notes are the Australian Aborigines are the root race of humanity. It's not out of Africa, and I do apologise for conventional views and science. It's actually out of Gondwana, and the Australian Aborigines, and I know this is really controversial for a lot of people. I'm just sharing with you the star law that I've shared with elders who have completely freaked out and said to me, you know, how do you know what you know? Because only the elders of our elders know this law. And I shared it with the Arnhem Land elders, and I shared it with the elders in the Flinders, and both times I was greatly acknowledged for actually having the true star law of their peoples. And the star law is that they are the root race of humanity. They are the ones that lived the original path of evolution with this realm, and everybody else has come from out there and blended their genetics with the genetics of the Australian Aborigines to create the avatar that they wanted, so their star people can then come and incarnate on this realm. And the purebloods of the Australian Aborigines have 48 chromosomes. We all have 46. They are a uniquely different species of humanoid to the rest of us. And their ancestry runs so deep that if you take an example of the Atnamatnya people from the Flinders, they are the Red Rock people. They literally are an intelligence and spirit and consciousness and soul expression that has emanated from the mineral realm into the human world. So when this world was being created, and at the very early stages of the actual crust of the earth being formed, these beings were already here. They were part of that formation of the crust of the earth, which is a blend of Pleiadian, Sirian, and Orion intelligences from the very, very beginning. And it's these three star nations, these three groupings that the majority of Australian Aborigine tribes will talk about their origins from the Pleiades, from the Seven Sisters and the Seven Sisters dreaming. And we heard more of that just recently at the Awakening there in Bundaberg over the weekend. That was great. And the elders sharing that. And then there's also several nations, Aborigine nations, that know of their ancestry or their heritage from Orion, and others from Sirius. So these are the three main groupings of star systems. The Pleiades probably makes up a good 80% of the mobs that know their origins from the Pleiades, and then the rest not as in quantity. And it's a similar thing, Michael, with the Maori from New Zealand, the Matariki Festival. They celebrate the original meaning of that festival is the Maori celebrating their origins from the Pleiades, and that festival runs for a whole week. And it's the same for many, many tribes, indigenous tribes all around the world. However, with the Australian Aborigines, that is the really interesting thing about it is we all have their genetics in us. They are the base template, and all other expressions of human avatar constructs in this world is because we all came from the stars. We are all extraterrestrial, and that's how we came to be here.
It's fascinating. I remember many years ago working with someone from India who was teaching about the way in which the Earth was divided into different chakras, and that they said that the Australia was the root chakra of the planet, and that Africa was the Swadhisthana or the second chakra of the planet. So that would make perfect sense that the oldest race actually doesn't come from Africa, but comes from Australia. And the Aborigines, and you've been saying Rigines, so I'm not sure. Is that kind of like a more politically correct way of saying it these days?
Well, Aboriginal in one context means not original, like abnormal, you know. Okay. So for me, they are the original people. So I call them the Australian Aborigines, you know, because they are the originals. Yeah, I don't like the word, and maybe it's just a personal thing. I don't like the word Aboriginal. Mm-hmm. I think it's the colonialists playing their usual game on words to give everything a double meaning.
Yeah, so true, so true. So I want to now get back to your experiences, because something happened in 2003 where you met your galactic family. And yeah, so I want you to just maybe elaborate on who exactly you met in 2003. And why was that important, given that you've had a lifetime of contact experiences, both positive and negative, but 2003 was like a pivotal experience for you. So, what happened that made it so different to the earlier experiences?
Yeah, so that was, I would have to say by far, Michael, the most significant experience of my life, and did change everything. And I would love to be able to share that with you. And what happened was I was sleeping in my bed, because a lot of these 99% of my experiences just happen. I don't will them on. They just happened to me. And obviously I feel it was organized prior to incarnation. So my galactic family picked me up at that point in time in my life, and it was a very, very difficult time in my life. I just separated and divorced from the mother of my two boys, and I was in a lot of pain and suffering. I was at one of the lowest points of my life with chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia, and I was in so much pain and agony on a disability pension and struggling to put food on the table, etc., etc. And then my galactic family just picked me up with a shuttlecraft, and I remember, and I don't remember coming out of my bed into the craft, but I do remember being in the shuttlecraft, and I had two gentlemen sitting opposite me, very much look like you and I. Slight differences in physical features, but not really. Like if they were to walk past you in the street, you probably wouldn't notice that they were really any different. And they were my Sirian family. And I remember the stream of what would you call it? It's not a jet stream. It was more like when you're traveling through the cosmos at a really high speed. It's just reality just streams. You're streaming through reality so fast. And I remember putting my arm into it while I was talking to the guys. And I remember their eyes going up, because, that would normally you'd lose your arm in that stream. But I remember just putting my arm in it, and I was feeling it like you're in a boat and you put your hand in the water as you're going along. And I remember feeling that stream. My arm was tingling. It was really nice just feeling that stream going by. And like I said, these guys were shocked. And then I put my hand back, and we continued to talk. And I actually remember saying to them, "So what's it like when you meet Jesus?" Right? I don't know why that came out of me in that moment. That's what I said. And they just looked at me like that and went, like, you know, and I was like, oh, that was an interesting reaction. Okay. So we got to the larger craft, and then the moment I remember approaching it, but then I blanked out because of all the memory wipes that I've had. And I remember walking into the main craft, because we went a lot closer to the Sirius system now, because Sirius is 4.8 light years away. It's 7.2 light years away. Our closest neighbor is Crux, Alpha Centauri 4.2, somewhere like that. So Sirius is our next closest neighbor at this point in time, and we weren't that far from home, you know, Sirius home. And this huge craft, and I walked in. My brother greeted me, and he was wearing robes like similar to the Jedi. A lot of that sort of garb, you know, that kind of wear, those clothes. It's very common. You see it a lot out there. And he had brown hair, straight brown hair, but he had streaks of gold in his hair, and he had a slightly pointier nose, almost French-like. Anyway, we walked in, and everybody greeted me. We walked into quite a large room, and there was all different races. And because from Sirius, the role that I play and we play from the Sirius Star Nation is because Mother Earth is actually an aspect of Sirius herself, and Sirius is an aspect of the Milky Way galaxy. That's the lineage, and we are managing Project Earth, if you want to put it this way, because Sirius and Sophia, Mother Sophia, which you know as Earth, are the same being, different aspects of the same being. And once again, the Milky Way galaxy, and then it goes through to the Universal Mother, the feminine archetype of the universal being. So we're actually incarnate upon the Universal Mother. Yeah. All right. So we are walking into this room, and everybody's greeting me, and they're all greeting me in a way where I have to be careful too of my emanations, because we are full universal fractals. And this is why sometimes you'll get taken into a craft and you'll see extraterrestrials will see you and they run. Because if we emote while we're out there in their presence, the energy that comes out of us, for us, will be a standard emotion. For them, they'll get hit by an energy that is so powerful you can really harm other beings. We have to be very careful because of our strength and our ability and our power, because of our structure. We're universal fractals, full universal fractals. All other incarnations in the cosmos are all varying degrees of partial fractal. And that's why the war for control of Earth is so great, because of who and what we actually are. And this is a forgotten reality, absolute actuality of our peoples, our human, what we call human race. We're actually Homo luminous. And once again, I'll remind people, human is a branding name for Yahweh. And when you go Yahoo, you're actually hailing Yahweh. We call him Yahweh or Yahweh, but it's the same being. So it's a branding name for Yahweh. And Homo luminous is what we really are. So after I met my galactic family, we went into a room to the side in the craft, and there was a desk, a table. There was a lady at the computer there. There was another lady standing behind her. I sat on a really comfortable chair. My family, my direct family members stood around me, and we linked all of our heart soul essences together. Now, what we did was we did not use technology at all for this process. It was purely a unified field of love, consciousness, and spirit. And what they were doing was allowing me to exit my body in a way that was equivalent to the death process, but they were able to maintain my body in stasis and again, without technology. The only reason we were in a craft is because sometimes for certain roles or certain missions or responsibilities or jobs, we need to manifest a craft to actually interact appropriately with that realm. Whereas normally, from where I come from in the Sirius system, or the vibrational dimensional realm of Sirius, we reside beyond numbers, beyond mathematics, beyond technology, beyond any of that stuff. That all belongs in the cosmic domain, below the great void in the universe, in the grand cosmic arena. We're in vibrational frequencies where no technology is used. And a really beautiful example of that is the Australian Aborigines, which I consider to be the most advanced peoples on our planet, because they do not need any technology whatsoever. And they even bilocate night walk, which I've experienced, traveling from South Australia to Uluru through the Songline in an instant. So it's I call it bilocation to bridge the gap between their world and our world. You're literally biologically relocating yourself from one space-time location to another. So I came out of my body and I'm looking down at my brother, and the magnetic pull was so strong for me to go out of there. He's looking up at me. He's like, hold on. You haven't done this for a really long time. And what he meant by that was, since you entered the reincarnational cycle, you've been reincarnating, which means you haven't come out of your body to the degree or in the fashion that you have here, which means you are completely exiting the reincarnational cycle, like right out of it. And even going beyond the Sirius structure, the structure of the Sirius system. And so the magnetic pull was getting stronger and stronger and more intense. And he nodded and he said, right, now you can let go. And I just let go, and I was straight out of there. And I just saw the craft shrink. I saw all the stars shrinking, coming together. And then I popped out of the galactic realm. And then I'm seeing all the galaxies coming together. And then I just popped out of the grand cosmic arena with all the dimensions. And then I went through the realms of harmony. And then all of a sudden I'm in the heart of the universe with a universal being, totally one with a universal creator. Now, again, I didn't plan this. It was obviously organized prior to incarnation. That point in time in my life, my galactic family would come along and facilitate this process. And so when I was there, one with the universal being, I was just experiencing my isness of light. Like I just am, and I just was pure light in the heart of the universe, beyond. It's like you get to that first stage of light, which is vibration, and then you pop out of the light structure and you come back to pure isness, beyond light. Yeah. And then that part of you that's in the heart, in full unity with the universal being, that is what I call soul. That is where we are whole. Logos is really important for me. Really important. So I always work with the energy and the vibrational patterns of words. Yeah, because that's the purity of Logos. Yeah. Okay. So soul, we are whole. Yeah. Now, at that stage, I was beyond spirit and beyond consciousness. Whole. Because what we refer to as spirit is a formless essence of our being or our state of being that emanates from the heart of the universe. And what we refer to as spirit only belongs to a structure of this universe. Because where I went to next was your soul in the heart of the universe is actually your gateway to exiting the universe. and I went beyond the universe, and I experienced the omniverse. Yeah. And every single universe out there is its own unique construct. And universes are created by us in the infinite nature of life, because our universe is just floating in the ocean of the infinite, where there is no beginning, there is no end, life always has been, and life always will be. Yeah? There is no creator of life. I just want to make that, it's an absolute reality. It's an absolute actuality. There is no creator of life. Is there creator of universes? Absolutely. So as infinite beings, we express ourselves. That expression becomes a thing, it becomes a form, becomes a manifested something. That is then a universal construct. Then as we express that from in the infinite, we then get to choose if we want to grow and develop that expression further and turn it into a universal construct, which then we can invite others into and experience that expression and that construct. And that's how this universe was formed. It is a universe of light. And this being created a universe of contrasting expressions, because that's energy, that's light. So you got one expression and another expression. And the energy bouncing backwards and forwards from one expression to the other is what creates energy, light, sound, vibration, frequency, you know, all of that. That is the essence of our universe. So, and I saw all the universes out there. I saw all of our other expressions. So Michael, you have your universe out there. And I'm not saying this to stroke anyone's ego, right? This is not what this is about. This is about absolute actuality of the structure of life. And I've been walking around with this since 2003 and have spent a lot of time trying to reconcile this experience and why it happened and what am I meant to do with this. And I walked around as stupid for the first 6 months trying to reconcile this thing, right? And so when it came time, and you know, everybody's got, you got your own universe out there. And the tapestry of life that was going between all the different universes. And one thing was really interesting. I noticed that all the prime creative intelligences of all these other universes were all flowing into this one. This one's really, really attractive for a lot of beings from the infinite nature right now. And we came into this universe because the moment you come in and you become one with the universal being, that's where you are whole. That's you are in the heart of the universe together. From there, we project love and knowledge, which are the two base elements of the creation of every realm in this universe. They're the two base elements for the manifestation of every single realm in every single dimension. Love and knowledge, two base elements. And so the love is the spirit, yeah? And the knowledge is the consciousness. And consciousness is formed from the heart of the universe because consciousness is the representation of knowledge. And spirit is the love and the formless expression of ourselves. So just one moment, Michael, just spirit. So you spirit, project, and consciousness is mind energy. Yeah. So you have love and knowledge, spirit and consciousness together going out and exploring different realms and incarnational constructs.
All right. Well, I mean, that's kind of like a tremendous experience that you had, and there's a lot in there to unpack. But I want to go back to the role that the Sirians played in facilitating that experience. It seems like they wanted you or allowed you or encouraged you to have this experience because they wanted to bring you back, or they wanted you to bring back this knowledge to teach that knowledge. Would that be correct?
In a way, it was organized prior to incarnation, because I'm from Sirius. It's a big part of my being. I'm Sirian. I am also, we're all composites, right? So I've got Sirius, I've got a Pleiadian heritage, I've got an Orion heritage, I've got the mark of Orion on my arm just here, the star system, just in your natural, you know, freckled dots. What else? There's part of me that's Eridanian. Yeah. We're a tortured race in Eridanus. So the truth of it is you're not just one star system. You'll have your main one because we're composites. So what ratio? Some people are more Pleiadian and less Arcturian, for example, in this incarnational avatar. But the truth of it is we've incarnated into all the star systems throughout time. Yeah.
Yep. I kind of connect with that. I can see that. I think a few people. I think last time we spoke, we talked a little bit about that, the fractal nature of the universe, and how we just kind of like recycle from one star family into another star family, and we get to experience them all, or get to experience more and more. So that kind of makes a lot. That kind of makes a lot of sense. So you brought back this knowledge, this kind of experience, and you know that changed you fundamentally in 2003.
Yes.
How did that influence your relationship with the different galactic groups?
Oh, quite profoundly, because there's you got the Federation of Free. I kind of need to finish what happened when I came back into the universe, which will then explain a lot. Yeah, if that's okay. So there I was in the infinite nature of life, and I was seeing the tapestry of all these energetic streams of all these people coming into this universe, and all the creators of all other universes, and so forth. And then when I came back in to the heart of the universe, I was once again with the universal being. And then before I actually stepped into my first expression of light, where you become, you know, contrasting expressions, I then went straight into our galactic realm. So I came back through the great void, through the realms of harmony, through the great void. So it's from the core outward. Think of it like a spherical sort of construct. It's not up and down hierarchical, right? So what you deem as the higher vibrations is really the inner realms, right? And then it comes out, and there's a void membrane that goes around, and then you go to the outer realms, which is the grand cosmic arena, which is the universal stage where we all go into character and role play for one another. And when I came back, I really focused in on the Earth and what was happening with Earth. And I witnessed firsthand the energy streaming off the Earth. There was all these colors and textures streaming off the Earth, and they were all going to all these different entities, right? And then from there, they were going all unifying, going to this one entity, all these streams of energy. And that really got my attention. And I asked the question, what is this? And all the streams were all different colors and all different textures, and they were all different forms of worship taking place in our world. And all these different forms of worship, where they're coming along to all these minor deific interface modules, whether it's a Yahweh, whether it's the Jesus version of Christ, whether it's the God entity or the God of Christian religion, or Allah, and they're all there, and all this energy goes to these beings first, and then from there it goes to their overlords, right? Don't worry about what they're claiming in the narratives. It's just this is the structure, right? And then from there it all went back to this one entity, and that's the one I call the God entity, the one that is the God of gods. It's the one that's behind all of the structures of worship, that creates devotion, that it creates subservience, which creates enslavement, basically. And these entities, and especially this entity, they are feeding off our energy. Because like I said, when we as fractals, universal fractals, we steer our intention, it is the most powerful force. It's like the most powerful crack cocaine these gods have ever had. And this is how they get to be powerful gods. The moment we stop feeding them, they will crumble. Fact of reality. Yeah. The natural creative intelligences, which the Australian Aborigines and everybody's been trying to get us to come back to conscious relationship with, is they say, you know, you've got to have your relationship with country. They call it country. In our world, in our Christian Western world, we will call that creation itself. So who is the original creative intelligence of this realm? So who is Mother Earth? Who is the solar being? Because we're inside of a solar system. Yeah, we're also inside of a galactic realm. Who is the galactic intelligence? We're also inside of a cosmic realm. Who is that cosmic entity? You know, and it's all different expressions of different beings. Every single star system out there is a unique being. Excuse me. So our existence in this universe is a co-creative process, participatory, co-creative. That's how the natural universal intelligence operates. Yeah, if that makes sense. So from there, I got to really comprehend what's actually happened to our world and to remember who we are as a species and what we're actually doing here and where we're headed.
Right. Well, you know, I mean, yeah, I think when I look at the human experience, what I see is people at different grades, different points. You know, some people, yourself being an example, you can focus your attention to have these kinds of experiences, and yogis do it as well. I mean, people in India have similar experiences of universal consciousness. They call it samadhi, and so people who can focus their attention can have these incredible experiences. But that's only a small percentage of humanity, and I know by far most people just do not have the ability to hold a thought for anything more than like 3 seconds, you know? And so how can they hope to have any kind of impact when their attention just goes like that? And so I guess that's the question, is that, okay, so in your case, you went on this ship, that ship provided you with a framework to, or an ability or environment where your energy was focused and you could bang, you were out there, you were doing this. Now, for most people who don't get to go up on a starship, you know, how can they do it if they can't hold a thought for anything more than 3 seconds before their mind wanders to, you know, what they're going to eat that night?
Yeah, good question. Look, you know, the reason, and I've met other folks who have experienced the universe and the infinite nature of life. They didn't achieve it the same way. Their galactic family didn't pick them up. They had other pathways to that experience, but I'm not the only one who's had this. I just want to make that point clear. And the structure of the universe that I provide is known by many. Yeah. And I actually had a person who studied really high with a high-level yogi and masters in Tibet, and brought out these sacred texts, and I drew the structure of the universe, and then we lined them up, and they were the same. Yeah. So I'm not making a story up. I'm just sharing what happened to me, and I didn't want to go to the heart of the universe. I didn't sit there asking for it. I did want to know what life was. I did ask for the knowledge of life. I did ask for that, but I didn't sit there calling my galactic family in to make this happen. It just happened, and so many of my experiences just happened. So once again, this experience I had with my Sirian and other members, though there were other races from the galaxy in this larger craft. There was Arcturians and Lyrians and all sorts of beings there. It was magnificent, because a conglomerate, because Sirius is the management part of Project Earth. So all races, whether Arcturian, Lyrian, Pleiadian, whatever, answer to a council within Sirius, yeah, which answers directly to the Galactic Mother. Yeah. So we're part of the natural intention of creation here. It's not an imperial structure, nothing to do with that. It's pure conscious relationship. So when it comes to other folks wanting to achieve this similar thing, we're actually living the process. of it here on Earth right now. Your life here on this planet right now is the process for you to achieve it. And all the struggles that you're going through in your life, including interpersonal family relationships, is the process of you rebalancing the equation of your soul. So it's not like I'm this amazing guru, had this beautiful extraterrestrial universal experience, and you should all bow down to me and all that crap. No, this is not what this is about. Actually, having this experience has really knocked me around, because I've come to realize the responsibility and obligation that I have to share the knowledge and the wisdom from this experience. And I've really struggled with that, seriously struggled with that, because I'm reluctant to step out and share this knowledge and wisdom with the world. It's not an easy thing to walk around with this. And we are all living in a really powerful, beautiful alchemical process here on Earth. It is so precious and so important. And we have all these narratives diminishing who this planetary being is and what she's actually doing here with this most powerful avatar incarnational vessel. And things like it's just an illusion, it's just a dream, it's a flat Earth with a firmament, we're all living on a prison planet, you're at the bottom of the universe and you must raise your vibration. That's one of the misnomers in this whole game, this whole facade. It's actually integrating into unity. That's where it's really at. It's not about just shifting frequency into a finer frequency. I've met lots of races, and their frequency is so high and so fine, and they're as evil comes. So the notion that just because you have a higher vibration, that you are more benevolent, that is a complete misnomer. And we've really got to get clear about this. If you want to know what it's like in the natural way of love and the natural way of life, it's all about integrating into unity, integrating the light and the shadow, the energy that is this universe, back into the unity, into the unified field, and entering into conscious relationship with life itself. That's where it's really at. The concept, and I know this is very challenging for a lot of people, but if you want reality, you get reality, right? We are, the notion of us changing a vibration from where we're at, raising it to a certain frequency to enter into the fifth dimension, is a farmer relocating his herd from a paddock that's becoming toxic, not only to the herd, but also to the farmer himself. And he needs to shift that herd to another paddock where the grass is greener over the other side of that fence. So I call it the ascension deception. And I really don't mean to be really stirring the pot too much. I just want to actually tell people and remind people of the natural path, and the natural way of love and the natural way of life is we are reintegrating back into unity. And that's the path of the original intention for the creation of this realm, for this planetary being to be actually facilitating this process right now, where you've got all the gods and all the empires, and we're all back now in this amazing harmonic convergence, and we're working it out. And like I said, nobody has to go where I'm going. So if anybody really feels the pull to go with the Galactic Federation of Light and to go off into a Star Trek future, go. That's the calling of your soul. I'm definitely not going to prevent anyone from doing that, but I'm not here to do that, because I've come from there to Earth to exit the Star Trek, imperial structures of Star Wars and conflicts between star nations and intergalactic wars, etc. That is a vibrational field of existence, and I'm done with that. And I even told my sons, I pulled them aside and I showed them the stars. I said, if you want to go back and play spaceships and Star Wars, you can, but I'm here to actually enter into the original intention of the creation of this planetary realm and the full process that this realm is offering with these human avatars, what we call human avatars, Homo luminous. It's much more than what we're being told.
But I mean, that is truly fascinating. I know people often look to positive extraterrestrials, especially those that are more spiritual oriented, whether we're talking the Sirians or the Arcturians, as being teachers to help us as a planet evolve so that we can get closer to the kind of awareness that you've been discussing, whereas other ETs are here because they're more part of an imperial process. So is that correct? I mean, would you agree that there are those ETs that are fundamentally wanting to expedite this kind of greater galactic awareness, the fractal nature of our heart, soul, essence, and others are like, they're just trying to add to their empire?
Yeah, no, I urge anybody to ask their extraterrestrial family, whoever's got that going on. This is. I'm not sharing anything that is weird or unusual. It is well known, Michael, by all extraterrestrial races in the natural way of love and the natural way of love. And even by some who are in the imperial structures, and they are fully aware of what I just said, of who we are as a species and what the original intention of this realm was actually created for. And I've got a quote. It's a summary, and it's, "We are universal embryos in the planetary womb of the universal mother." Right? And as we go through this process, we're birthing into full universal conscious light, which has all the pure love in it. And we are full universal beings. And that's what is emerging here. That's what Mother Earth is birthing. And we're now entering labor pains, and the forces of limitation, the gods and their imperial structures are coming. And mind you, there are benevolent gods out there that will fully back what I'm saying. But there are those gods who solicit worship and can only get their power from the worship and the devotion of others and subservience of others. That's how they get their power. But what I'm sharing with you of the original intention for this planetary being to actually manifest herself in the way that she has, and to allow the forces of limitation to come in and ravage her. People talk about the sacrifice of the Christ in the masculine. They have no idea the degree of the sacrifice of the Christ in the feminine. They have no idea. That is so dead and buried. And she's the one that's actually carrying this whole thing, right? She's the one that's suffering. She's the one, and every woman on this planet is subconsciously got this trauma inside of her. We as men have such a vast, different experience of this reality to what woman does. We don't have what she's got going on. We have something different going on. We have our wounds too, and that's a discussion for another day. The Christ in the masculine and the sacrifice there, which was way, way bigger and greater than what we've been told in any form of biblical reference. And what is the essence of Christ? What is it? And it's part of our soul structure. It's inside of us inherently, and it is the essence of love and knowledge in perfect balance. That is the essence of Christ.
Now, if I understand you correctly, what you're saying is that we have within us this kind of heart soul essence that can connect with the fractal nature of the planet and of the universe, and that we just develop in that awareness, and we can make that connection. That's totally within our ability to do so.
Inherently resides within each and every one of us. Yes,
exactly. All right, so we do, and I agree with that. I think that's absolutely correct. But I know that a lot of people are going to need crutches to get to that, and those crutches might be the Arcturians, they might be the Sirians, because they're on their ships or in their temples or in whatever environment they create an opportunity for us to kind of like connect with the that heart soul essence that you've been describing. So when it comes to these different organizations, some people talk about the Galactic Federation of Worlds or of Light, the Confederation of Planets, the Ashtar Command. I mean, do you have any awareness of these different organizations? Which ones are more helpful in this greater project? Which one gives you a set of crutches that can get you there better?
I love that question. So the group, or let's say, for want of a better term, because we are limited with our language here, but think of an assembly of beings. You can call it a council if you want. There's all whatever label you want to attach to it. Just an assembly of feminine beings, because this galaxy is the universal mother, and she created this galactic womb. We call it the Milky Way galaxy because it's the nurturing of the mother's milk. Yeah, it's not just because it's white in the sky. There's a lot of depth in behind this title, and every star in our galaxy is actually a galactic realm, a galactic being, compressed and incarnating as a star in our galaxy. That's where the density comes from. It's the fractal pathway which creates the density, not because we're at the bottom of the universe, right? You need to understand political narratives, right? Which I'm sure you will know. So look, your experience with political narratives on the ground level here, start applying it, as above, so below, as below, so above sort of thing. And you'll see the politics that are playing out with the gods on a galactic level is so horrendously extensive, and the rubbish, the diminishing of Mother Earth and humanity and who we actually originally are and what we're doing here with the original intention. The overwhelming majority of the human race has forgotten it, and we only got access to the last, only what's in this epoch. So post flood, basically, is what we have access to, and a little bit of pre flood. And how was the flood created? The flood was created because the moon was placed around the Earth. That's what created the Great Flood and knocked the Earth off its axis at the same time. Yeah. And there's a big story behind that as to how the moon came about to be here, because it seeded the Earth. The moon's from the Pleiades, from the star Maya. This is a really incredible craft that used to go around seeding life in our galaxy. And it came here to help seed life on Earth a very, very long time ago. So it was like a sister planetoid to Mother Earth. It's a very, very interesting tale and story, and it was full of forests and oceans and mountain ranges, and it was quite a beautiful, beautiful planetoid before Empire got its hands on it and turned it into something very different.
Well, I want to kind of pivot now to something that you shared after your incredible experience in 2003. You're now kind of fully aware of, I guess, your life mission, or what is the most important thing to kind of work towards. Now, you get taken to the Pentagon. I mean, someone was tracking you, and you get taken to the Pentagon. And so what happened at the Pentagon after this incredible experience in 2003?
Yeah, so what happens is when you have an experience like that and you come back in, you have a different vibration. So you're emanating a different light. And it's kind of like, if I can use the analogy of in the movie The X-Men, and the guy was putting the helmet on in that room and he was seeing all the humans, and then the mutants would have a different color to them. It's like that. We stick out. And then you get their attention. And the Matrix, the overlord of the Matrix, goes, oh, kind of, it hurts the Matrix ruler when we come in with this light, which is from natural light and natural love. And what happened was the first memory I have of this abduction was, I'm in a car and I've got I'm in the back, and I was on the left actually, and I had two gentlemen, like men in black, to my right. There's different grades of men in black, and there was one in front, and then the driver. And we were sitting outside the Pentagon. There was a ramp that goes up. There was an opening to that old stone building. And I remember the drivers had to wait for a truck to come out, and they got really angry because they don't like having to wait. These kind of people do not like waiting for anything, right? Anyway, the truck came out and we drove up into the ramp, and that's where I blanked out. And then next thing I remember, they did torture me, because the next thing I remember, I was just completely messed up. and they had me in like a room with a bed, and they threw me onto this bed, and there was a woman that I knew in my life there. We weren't related, like no relationship, nothing. She was just an acquaintance. She was laying there. They threw me next to her on the bed. Then I was there for a period of time. I couldn't move, and I was drifting in and out of consciousness. Then they picked me up, took me out of that room into another room it was like a hotel room with 2 chairs, or like a waiting room, 2 chairs. And they dropped me on the ground between the 2 chairs. They did not even have the decency to put me in a chair, right? And then there was a knock at the door. George Bush Sr. and another gentleman walked in. They picked me up. He looked at me for about a minute. He just kept looking at me. Then he came up to me. He stuck his hand out, and I just put my hand out, and we shook hands. And he really appreciated acknowledging me. And then he turned around and walked out. And then these 2 guys, once again, just dropped me on the floor. Didn't even have the decency to put me in a chair. And eventually I got taken back home, and basically spent a week recovering from what they did to me, which I still don't know to this day. It's still waiting, and I really would love to do some regressional hypnotherapy. I've tried with 2 other folks, but didn't work out. The memory block that they've got in place is pretty strong, so need someone who knows how to get through that. And correct.
You see, I presume in some kind of craft, and then...
Oh, yeah, definitely. Pentagon's got their own fleet. Just like the Vatican's got their own fleet. I got flown to the Vatican, had a fierce debate in a lecture theatre with 2 senior cardinals and 2 senior Jesuit officials about their God, because they know what I'm here to do. They know what I've been through. They monitor me. I even had a librarian from the Vatican book a private session to me with me when I used to do one-on-ones, and he actually told me that they've been monitoring me for quite some time, because they know, why I've come to this world. They monitor who's coming in, who's going out of the planet, who's incarnating, who's exiting. They monitor the whole thing. You'll be surprised the degree that they monitor. And yeah, anyway, that's that. And it was pretty fierce.
How soon after your return from this experience with your galactic family and that reconnection with the omniverse, how soon after that were you taken to the Pentagon?
Oh, it was about 1.5 years after I came back.
I see.
Yeah, it was soon. It wasn't because what happened during that 2004 period, that was when I was also, I would say, assimilated periodically into the Galactic Federation of Light. It was actually the Galactic Confederation of Light. And I was an ambassador, and I did a series of 3 events in Adelaide. And I also was providing written information to ASIO. So I'd go and knock on ASIO's door, and I'd be providing information. And it might still be online, if you look up 2004, George Kavassilas, Galactic Confederation of Light, you probably find it's still there somewhere. So I've been doing this for a long time, and then I got their attention because it's part of the imperial structure, the Galactic Federation. And then I just went, you know what? My journey, I feel, is bigger than that. It's beyond. I need to seek reality and life and knowledge and wisdom that is beyond these galactic and intergalactic and even interstellar organizations, because they are all imperial structures. So I stepped back from that because I came to realize where in the scene they actually fit. And I knew that wasn't mine. It's other people's journeys to be really deeply involved with these organizations, and that's a good thing for them. It just wasn't right for me. I had something I needed to go deeper into, and that's to provide a remembrance for us. We call humanity, I like to call us Homo Luminous, and a remembrance so people have a point of reference, and then they can make their own decision. And I feel that this is what my journey here on this planet's about.
That's very interesting. Now, I know that there are different galactic organizations out there, and they have very different principles of intervention in our world. Some tend to be more, there's clearly a divide between those that are negative and involved in kind of like controlling our planet, dumbing down the consciousness and poisoning us and all those terrible things that, and people know who the bad guys are. But in terms of the positive ones, there seems to be a difference between those that are more interventionist, like, okay, let's go in, let's kind of clean up the oceans, or let's do something to combat the dark ones and what they're doing. Whereas there are others that are more laid back, or more kind of like taking the approach of, well, we need to raise spiritual consciousness. We need to awaken people. That's the solution, rather than going in and actively opposing the dark agenda. So, could you maybe give a more nuanced perspective on, who is promoting the imperial agenda? If you have these different organizations and they have their own nuanced approach to intervening on a planet like Earth.
God is behind it, not the okay, once we realize that there's the natural prime creative intelligence that is this universal, this universe, that is this universe, and then there's the God of religions. And we're dealing with two different entities, completely different. One has come into this universe, right, and has entered the process of the universe, and the most polarized state. Remember, we're in a universe of contrasting expressions. You need to remember the structure of reality, right, of the construct of this universe. We're in a universe of contrasting expressions. It's what light is, right? Yin and yang, as so many of us know it, yeah? That is the essence of this universe. And that being has come in, and the most polarized state you could ever hope to achieve in your journey through this universe is to get to the point where you become the most powerful God of gods, to be the God of all gods, right? To sit on that throne and to be so self-deluded to the state, to the point where you literally claim to be, you postulate yourself to be the creator of not only this universe, but all that is and all that exists. That is the most polarized state anyone could ever hope to achieve in this universe. And it is the most courageous journey. I have a very, very deep relationship with God. Yeah, I just want you to know that. I'm not just rubbishing this entity. I have the utmost love, honor, and respect for God and the journey that being has taken in this universe and the role that being is playing in this universe. Because I help people transcend the God matrix, and we address the soul level agreements that people have from the heart of the universe, the agreement of creation and co-creation with this being to travel through its domains and through its matrix realms and realities, yeah? And we bring that soul level agreement to an end, to a close, and we graciously exit in that co-creative relationship with that entity. So God and I, we have a really good relationship going on. And I also have a beautiful relationship going on with the natural prime creative intelligence that is this universe, the actual one, not the one that postulates to be, right? Once you work that out, yeah, and the way you do it is, well, what have the origines been trying to remind us all this time? Relationship to country. So when you go into conscious relationship with creation itself in the unified field, yeah, through your heart, soul, essence, then you straight away, you feel, you perceive, you sense, you comprehend the energy that is creation itself. Not only planetary or solar, galactic, you go cosmic and you go universal, right, into the depths of it. And then you feel the energy coming from this God entity, completely different energy. And it's really palpable and fully discernible and really distinctive, because in here, in your heart, soul, essence, is the greatest BS meter that you will ever have. That's your point of reference, your relationship with the universal being in the heart of creation. Remember, I said it's where we are whole. We all have this, and all we need to do is relax back into it. No need for any rituals, no prayers, no asking other beings to do anything for you. The simplicity of it is so great that most people are addicted to complexity, and they want gods, they want angel hierarchies, they want ascended masters, they want rituals, they want all sorts of things because it's too simple. And that's what reality is. It's simple. And we can all do it.
Right. Okay. Well, you know, I mean, there's a lot of truth there in what you said, and I think that, I mean, you so it sounds as though you're kind of saying that that also applies not just to the different gods of religion, the demiurges of the different religious and the hierarchies and so forth, but also applies to these galactic organizations. That, you know, this is what people give their power away to, and that what you're advocating is that, you know, take the simple approach, just connect with the fractal nature of the universe and connect with your heart soul essence, and it's a very simple thing as you're presenting it. So and I think, yeah, so you want to maybe elaborate on how do you do that? How do you connect with?
Yeah, it's really simple. You just relax your awareness out of your mind, out of consciousness, and you just relax back into yourself, into your heart, soul essence, into your core. It's so easy. People find it really difficult. You get where I'm coming from. That's why I said people's addiction in the mind to complicated processes and to rituals, and you know, people put, I don't know, music and sounds on to meditate. I'll just sit on the deck and just relax in. Just really, I'm not asking you to try and achieve something that does not exist. All I'm asking you is to relax back into your structure of existence that is already there, that you've been pulled away from. And there's a wall of consciousness between you and your natural structure, right? Which is part of the collective field. It's called the status quo, which is actually a containment field for human conscious awareness. And we've been programmed not only in our ancestral DNA, you know, all your ancestors, what religious organizations were they involved in? What rituals did they participate? Going back, you know, hundreds of years, 1,000 years, 2,000 years. We're programmed in our DNA. So we've got the natural DNA code, which is the mitochondrial DNA. That is the real DNA, the actual organic DNA, yeah, which connects you to your mother planet, not only your birth mother, but to your mother planet through that DNA. And then there's that nuclear DNA. I call it the God code. That's the one. That's the one that they have meddled with and interfered with. They can't meddle with the mitochondria. They're trying now through LED lights, target the mitochondria, bang on, right? So they're trying to cut us off like a scalpel from our mother planet, from our roots, because they want to come and harvest everybody, right? So if you don't have a strong foundation, you're toast, basically. So we are in the process of that other DNA is the God code, and that's the one where they program you into worshipping gods. They program you for a whole lot of things. That's not the real DNA. That's the programmable, reprogrammable DNA. But the mitochondria is where it's at. It's where we emanate from. It's where our life force emanates through in our cells. It's where the water's produced. You know, it's the whole lot.
Okay, well, I wanted to kind of bring something up that you know, some people might be puzzled, because they might say, okay, George, you're saying we don't necessarily put our attention on reconnecting with our star family. That's really more about connecting with the heart soul essence and connecting with the planet, with Gaia and with the sun. But they can look at you and say, well, hang on, back in 2003, you weren't connected. You were taken up onto this Sirian starship, and that's what enabled you to make the connection. So why is it that you can do that, but you're telling us that we should do it on our own?
Yeah. So I had that process, and like I said, other people are having other processes to achieve that same thing. I meet lots of indigenous peoples that just embody it so deeply. And we've all got the ability to do this within ourselves naturally, if you want. It's just up to you. But do you have the capacity to let go of the programs that you're running in your field of consciousness? You know, that's the wall. Remember, I said there's a wall in your realm of consciousness, there's a wall there. It's a membrane. That's the only thing that's preventing people from achieving it, is this prison wall of consciousness. It's like a wall. And once you're able to just let go and move beyond that and penetrate that and move beyond that, then you're back home in the heart, soul, essence, and you feel your relationship with the realm, with reality. It's absolutely fascinating.
Well,
and exciting and liberating.
I understand what you're saying, and I'll make a confession here. I've had a meditation practice going back to 1980s. So like close to 40 years now. I've had meditation practices, and I have never gotten to that point that you've been describing. I've never gotten to the point that many of the religious masters talk about. I consider myself kind of like a hack meditator. I'm not being, I'm just being honest. I can achieve a certain degree of kind of like focused intent, and I've been having a pretty kind of like disciplined meditation practice going back for 40 years doing this. And I've done a lot of things. I've done Vipassana courses. I've gone to many different retreats and do all sorts of kind of meditation courses and practices, but I've never gotten to that point that you've described. Stephen Greer has described a similar thing to you. You see gurus like Sri Aurobindo describing similar things, Ramana Maharshi, but I've never gotten to that. Now, if there are galactics out there who can do for me what they did for you, I'd go for a second. I just go like that. Wouldn't hesitate, because for whatever reason, I'm just not able to do it the way that you've been describing it, because I've been trying it for 40 years, everything that I can think of, and I haven't succeeded. So yeah, how do you respond to that?
The first thing I want to respond to that is, it's because the way you've structured your incarnation, prior incarnation, the way your soul is structured, it's a timing thing. So what you're accessing right now is what you need to access to do the work that you came here to do. Yeah. And I had this issue growing up, and I wanted to be like that person, and I want to be able to do that and have those abilities, and I had that going on a lot. And then I decided just to let go and just allow me to do me, to be me. And I came to realize the beauty of the timing in everything. And so that happened to me in 2003. Like I said, other folks who have experienced the universe in exactly the same way that I have, and the omniverse, they've done it through other ways. I've got one really close mate who spent 10 years in the Amazon jungles in Moluccas, doing ceremony and running ceremonies for years in the Amazon jungle with the elders there. He's so proficient. And he really knows life. He's seen it all. He's seen all the charlatans and, all of that come through. And we sat down and we had a really good conversation around the fire under the stars. And we compared notes, and it's the same. It's the same. And I've met other people along my journey that have also had this experience. The other folks have had experiences which I would like to have, but I haven't had them, and I don't have access to certain areas or realms of knowledge. And but I would really like to, but I've got to let go and trust. It comes down to my relationship with my soul. Do I actually have that capacity of self-love, which then brings self-trust? Like, what do you trust? Do you really trust your soul? Do you really trust in your spirit and your soul to the point where you can flow, be in that flow state, and be in that point, to that point, or that state of being where you trust that what you need to come will come to you when you need it? And that was the shift that I made. It was absolutely beautiful to do that. So I've been able to let go. There's like, Michael, a lot of things I don't know, so many people, these great speakers out there, experts in their fields, amazing. I'm so in awe of so many incredible speakers. I'm the big picture guy, one of them, right? I'm one of the big picture guys. And I had that experience for a reason. And that's what took me years. I'm actually still reconciling it 20 years later. But over the years of reconciliation with that experience, I came to realize that I have a responsibility and obligation to share the knowledge and the wisdom, because I'm a bit like Columbus. I got in the boat, I traveled, I saw, I experienced, I came to know, and now I've come back and I'm sharing what I experienced. Yeah, that's all I'm doing. I'm not big noting myself. Like I said, I'm reluctant, you know, and I've had to work through a lot of fear and insecurity in regard to me stepping out into the public domain and speaking, you know. And in my younger years, I had a lot more bravado. I was a bit more of an icebreaker back then and paradigm breaker. Now there's a lot more wisdom in the mix.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know right now, I mean, people are looking at the world around them and they're freaking out. I mean, they're looking at the possibility of wars breaking out, new pandemics, economic collapse, environmental collapse. So many would agree that we are kind of like in the end times. So what do you know of this? I mean, it sounds as though, yeah, why don't you just tell us what you know about these end times and what it is that you're doing, how that can help people get through these end times?
Yeah, we're definitely in end times of this cycle. Like there's wheels within wheels, cycles within cycles, right? It didn't that statement, wheels within wheels, was not just relating to only technology. It's a deeper statement than that. So it's like we're at a point now where the narrative in the field, in the space, in the collective human consciousness space, is going to get really busy, messy, and confusing. A lot of narratives coming out. And I feel that me coming out and sharing this knowledge gives people a big picture reference. Because when you come back home, like I said, this isn't just my perspective. A lot of people have had this experience. Mine happened the way mine happened, you know, and I've got the calling to come out and share it with the folks. So it gives us a point of reference. So when an organization like the Galactic Federation comes along, straight away, by their vibration, just by the energy that they emanate, you get to see exactly where they fit instantly, right? Because everything is fields of resonance. So the Galactic Federation, as we know it today, is playing a very, very important role. There's a lot of good people in that space, helping out a lot of star nations because they're operating in the realms of conflict. And there's a lot of star nations that need help, they need support, and they need protection, right? There's no doubt about that. Because of the narrative that's come into our world of diminishment, right? So, you know, you're born of sin. So the moment you're born, you're bad and you need saving, right? Innocent little baby. Apparently it's bad and it's evil, according to God, the moment it's born. And that's where debt, the notion of debt comes from, right? The concept of debt. From the moment you're born, you're bad and you're indebted to God. And that's where the financial debt spawns out of. And so we've got all these narratives. And here we are right now with the Galactic Federation doing a really good job because that needs to play out. So there's a lot of people who have star system level consciousness as their main conscious field, their main conscious awareness, right? That is what's making up their overall. For folks like me, we have a galactic, cosmic, and universal conscious awareness and infinite. I've got my infinite nature from beyond this universe to me here on this planet is a direct link now consciously for me, right? And there's other folks who have got it too. Yeah. So we have a different structure, a different way of operating with different responsibilities and obligations to other folks. So other folks who have come straight out of just the galacto-political space, right? They are going to be espousing the narratives from that frequency, that vibration. Now, this galaxy is multidimensional, like Earth, like our solar system. You know, you go into another dimension in our solar system, other dimensions, and there's planets that exist in our dimension that don't exist in those dimensions, and planets that exist in those dimensions that don't exist in our dimension. But Earth is the only one that spans every single dimension because it's a full universal fractal realm. Interesting, hey? So now we're at a stage where a lot of our conscious awareness is leaving just the Earth realm, and we're going solar, and we're going galactic, and we're going cosmic. A lot of people are experiencing it. And what's beautiful about it is through these end times, it's going to be a series of global events which are going to catalyze all of us. So I'm going to be awakened to my next level. Michael, you're going to be awakened to your next level. If you just take a look at what COVID did to so many folks, it was a grand awakening through that process. It was brilliant. As horrible as it was fantastic. And now we've got events that are about to play out. And my recommendation is dip your toe into the drama, play as much as you want, but don't make that your everything, because it will consume you. Make sure you stay back, heart, soul, essence, in the unified field with your planetary mother, with the, your immediate realm, trees, plants, the mineral realm, country, creation. Have that conscious relationship with the creation, the animals, the birds, the everything, the water, the elements. That's reality. That's where it's at. And when you go into that conscious relationship, that keeps you what we will call, for want of a better term, earthed or grounded, and or in the womb of Sophia, yeah. And we then get to see all the dramas playing out and pick and choose which one will speak to you and which one you vibrate with, and explore that, because that's going to provide information and knowledge and energetic vibrations which will have keys that will begin to unlock your consciousness. And so I'm embracing the times ahead, because I have a totally different approach to pain. I understand that pain is the actual real messenger in our lives. And when we do embrace the pain and get the information, then we can alchemize and transcend into from our current state into our next state of being. So I'm not all about wanting to continue to suffer, because when we do embrace the pain, draw the information out, and alchemize and transcend that previous state of being, that pain will never return, because it doesn't need to, because it's done what it was designed to do.
Do you think, with all these dramas playing out during this end times, do you see the Earth splitting off, like a certain percentage going with a kind of like a higher density awareness, more along the lines of what you're saying, whereas others are going to go down a lower density awareness where they worship particular gods or demiurges and kind of give their power away and play the games again? So what's going to happen with the Earth itself? Because you're saying the Earth is a conscious living entity. Where's she going to go, and where are people going to go respective of that?
So the end game for this planet in this dimension is to actually, as she becomes fully integrated and we integrate with her, and I'm talking right at the end of the process, then she births and we birth into full universal light spectrum, which means from the third dimension, it's going to look like this planet was destroyed and became a star. That's down the track. So I don't know how far down the track, but that's the down the track. That's what happened. That's what they've attempted in other planetary realms to facilitate this process of birthing universal light beings. This time, the process is foolproof. We've tried cycles before, and they didn't go so well. But this time, it's foolproof, because the only way you can achieve true enlightenment is by integrating all of your light and all of your shadow back into unity. So you take the light and the shadow, turn them into a unity, and then transcend the dialectic. So you become this third state of being beyond the dialectic in a unified self. So for a lot of folks, this realm is going to start to shake, rattle, and roll, because the very fabric of this vibration, let me use an analogy. I, as an individual, am alchemizing the distortions in my ego personas. Yeah. And so those old states of being die. You know how we die sometimes several deaths in a week, Michael? You know, like we go through a really difficult week and we're doing so much inner alchemy and we're experiencing all these ego deaths in just the space of a few days. And it's really hard work, right? Well, the outer personality, the one we call Lady Gaia, that's the outer personality of our mother planet. Yeah. Mother Sophia is the inner, the Chrysosphere is the core, right? So we are, she is now entering labor pains and she needs to die. Lady Gaia needs to actually die. Not as in I want her to die, as in the part of her that is facilitating consumerism. Yeah, because I've experienced other dimensions of her where there is no consumerism. In fact, I didn't even have lungs. I wasn't even breathing. There's no push-pull. There's no duality in that way. It was in what, in my old model of the universe, I would consider the fifth dimension on this planet. I don't use those numbering systems much anymore because all these people come out with dimensions and it gets all confusing, and my dimensions were different to other folks, the way I had them structured. So we are literally at a point where these global events are now going to facilitate so many changes for all of us. And the Galactic Federation is here, along with gods who are that are behind the Federation. They're going to show themselves when the time is right. And the other thing that's going to play out is the religious ideologies, right? So one thing we need to make, to bring into consideration is nearly 2,000 years of programming, you know, over 2 billion people that Jesus is your savior and he's going to come and save you. They're not going to waste 2,000 years of all that time, energy, resources into seeding into the human collective this version of Christ that the priestly caste have handed to us to come and save everybody, you know? So that has to play out. So, and the people that go off with that entity, well, that's their journey. I'm certainly not going with that entity because I know what the true essence of Christ is. And but other people are, you know, and good for them. Go. You know what I mean? It's okay. I'm not here to save anyone. I am here definitely to provide information and wisdom into the collective, so then people have a point of reference, and then you can make your own informed decision after that.
Fantastic. Well, I think people are needing kind of guidance in this time, so I recommend that they check out your website. So, George, in terms of your website and book, anything you want to say to people?
The book is Our Universal Journey, available on the website ourjourneyhome.earth. What I do want to say in closing statements to folks is, you know, we are on the precipice of monumental change. The changes that I have gone through to be able to have this degree of awareness is one that I have embraced, and at times I have been opposing because I was reluctant to go through the ego death processes that I needed to go through to allow my heart soul essence to shine out from within. So being your authentic self from your soul expression is the most powerful thing you can do. And it's been what was that study of 25,000 people, and they found out that authenticity was 4,000 times more powerful than love, right? As the most powerful force emanating from any human, right? By a long shot. And why? Because the love that is in the authenticity is the most real love you'll ever get, because it's your true soul expression from the heart of the universe, from the core of your being. Yeah, that is the most powerful force in existence. Yeah, so turn inside out. And for you to turn inside out means you now have to deconstruct and dissolve all of your belief systems and the belief system of all of your ancestors. And that's what I've been doing, you know, and I bring forth with me from the past all the goodness, all the love, all the knowledge and all the wisdom and all the beautiful spirit of my ancestors with me, because I totally acknowledge what they have, the path that they've walked in the past, and has led me, enabled me to be here today and the man that I am here today. So acknowledging our ancestors is important, but also healing our ancestors is important. And I feel that's the key to this moving forward, is conscious relationship with country, with the realm itself, with the mother, with the solar being, the galactic being, the cosmic being, and the universal being. And that foundation, the depth of that foundation from the core of your being, is what is going to get you through these crazy times that are coming. And it is going to be one of the most best reality TV shows that have ever existed in this universe for what's coming for our humanity. Because all of the control systems, extraterrestrial, religious control systems, technological control systems, they all have to play out for us to get past. So once we get past getting past the old world cabal, level 2, the technological intelligence gods. So our relationship with techno-consciousness and technology we got to work that out. And then our relationship with the gods. And after we've worked through our relationship with the gods, that's when we are emancipated, liberated, and free.
Well, I look forward to having you back again, where we can talk about those future challenges in terms of dealing with AI, transhumanism, and with the return of the gods. I mean, all big topics, and we need to tackle that in another session. So I want to thank you, George, for coming on Exopolitics today.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, Michael. Eternally grateful. Thank you.
Aloha.
Yeah.
You have been listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Sala. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Join or start a conversation in the comments. Take the time to explore the vast library of best-selling books, webinars, and podcasts by Dr. Sala. Visit exopoliticstoday.com.